We'll go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining us for our Identity for Financial Institutions event. As most of you know, we've been doing a lot of work for financial institutions, so very excited to show you some of the use cases we've been working on. So for an agenda today, we'll talk about identity proofing, very important for those wealth management situations, especially now as we're doing more and more over a video conference. We'll talk about extending the identity verification experience to the call center using our proprietary Caller Verify solution. And very common use cases for FIs, we'll talk about step-up authentications, both for high-risk transactions and for step-up authentication based on fraud detection. And for that, we have an integration between Okta and F5's Shape Security to show you. And finally, and only if we have time, we will show you some passwordless authentications, some future thoughts. So TechJutsu is the winner of the 2020 Okta Innovation Award. That's primarily because we do a lot of creative integrations with Okta. So we really like to use identity management solutions in a way that is beneficial to our clients and meeting their use cases. And sometimes we get a bit creative in what we come up with to do that. Why are we called TechJutsu? Jitsu just means skill in Japanese. So we're basically technical skill, and I'm a martial artist, so I thought that was a bit funny. So that's kind of our inside joke. And next we will meet the team. On the call with me today is Mike Bond, our identity specialist, who's going to be doing most of the demos for you, as well as Gabby Camo, who's also one of our architects. So some of the services that TechJutsu offers, we offer multi-factor authentication, single sign-on, lifecycle management, which includes your provisioning, deprovisioning, and auto-updating of accounts, privileged access management for those super user and admin accounts, identity governance for those fine-grained permissions and self-service access, and finally Caller Verify, which extends Okta into the call center. Now I will pass it over to Mike to talk to us about OneCosmos, which is going to be our identity proofing integration with Okta.
Thanks, Tracy. So verifying a user's ID is an important part of knowing who your client, knowing your client. So we're going to start talking about Okta and OneCosmos. So OneCosmos actually has a competing with Ping's government identity verification solution with the integration of OneCosmos and Okta, which provides the unique take on passwordless authentication using government ID, such as passports, driver's license, and things like that to validate users. There's several cool applications for things like this, for an instance, the immunity passports, or securely sharing your COVID-19 test results with your employer. 80% of breaches are caused by poor password management, and the solution is going passwordless. And indisputable digital identity through biometrics allows clients to increase the security and lower their costs. This elimination of friction and manual registration means that customers are actually happier with their solutions and sign-up solutions, and that increases sales and enhances their experience. OneCosmos actually reduces the risk of regulatory non-compliance, making auditors happy. So instead of doing a live demo of the driver's license enrollment, we're going to actually opt to do a short video instead, where we can we'll hide my personal information, but all of that we'll let the demo and the video speak for itself.
First, Mike opens the OneCosmos app and securely signs in with a fingerprint. To enroll a driver's license, he'll first have to enroll his Live ID, so he navigates to the Enroll tab and selects Live ID. There are some instructions, but we just press Next, as we'll be showing you what happens. To enroll his face in Live ID, OneCosmos asks him to make a few faces, like blinking and smiling, and then, just like that, he has a Live ID enrolled. From here, Mike can select Driver's License and enroll it. Please forgive this part, as this is where I badly superimposed a fake license over Mike's. So as you can see, he scans the back of his license and then the front. And in just a few seconds, his driver's license is enrolled. Getting OneCosmos set up to verify you with a government-issued ID is easy peasy lemon squeezy.
So now we're going to show OneCosmos actually logging into an application. So let me bring up that application and we'll show you what that process looks like. So we're going to show you this with an application called Invest, and that's essentially just a banking application that's been utilized to demo these environments. So on my phone, I actually have installed and enrolled the One Cosmos application. So if I bring that up on my device, use my Touch ID biometrics to get in access to the account, on the One Cosmos app, I actually have the ability to scan the QR code. So I'll go into the application and make sure it's refreshed. I'll scan, point my phone at the QR code, verify that it is me that wants to log in and my identity with my Face ID or my Touch ID. I'm successfully authenticated. I didn't have to use a username and password, and I'm securely authenticated to my banking application. It's that simple. It's One Cosmos.
Thanks, Mike. Next, we'll look at how to say goodbye to bad guys with Caller Verify. Caller Verify came out of the need of verifying users in a call center. So traditional security questions, which we're all used to, are just not secure enough. They're frictionful and they're frustrating for callers. And sometimes the fraudsters still get through accessing valuable account information. Particularly in the FI industry, there tends to be family fraud where younger family members know grandpa's security information. And so we want to protect grandpa by implementing something that's both more secure and more usable. So the Caller Verify solution is an easy soft token push notification, which removes that verification friction. It improves security compliance, keeping those auditors nice and happy, and makes your account security accessible to disabled people. So because you're not having to type in a code or remember something, for people that have memory issues, is much more accessible and just an all-around better user experience. Some use cases for Caller Verify are protecting those high-value transactions like e-transfers or wire transfers. And in other industries, we've seen it protecting high-value consumer purchases or even preventing the unauthorized quoting of phone numbers. And now I will pass it over to Mike to do a Caller Verify demo. So Mike is going to play the role of the help desk agent, and I'm going to play the role of the caller.
Thanks, Tracy. So Caller Verify is actually a SaaS application. It's a SaaS offering that we have currently today. So I'll log into Caller Verify, and essentially this is still linked to and embedded with the Okta environment for identity access management. So all of your identity and access management policies still apply to the application. And I'll do my Touch ID to gain access to Caller Verify as a call center agent. And keep in mind that all of the user interface for Caller Verify is completely customizable, from color scheme to logos to look and feel, even down to the attributes that we use to personally identify the callers that are calling into the call center. So I'm going to ask Tracy, as part of the caller role that she's asking, to please provide me with her primary email address to look up her account.
My email address is tracy.nyholt@techjutsu.com.
So look up her account. Because it's tightly integrated with Okta, we can see that it's pulling up her identity from the Okta environment. We see that she's active within the system, which means she's not in a status that I need to take her down a different path. Maybe she's in recovery, which means it's a password recovery process, or if she's disabled, then I can actually get her account reactivated for her. We can see that she's enrolled in multi-factor, and if I hover over top, you can see she's actually enrolled in one of the higher security offerings, which is Okta Verify Push or Fallback to TOTP. Under the Actions panel, I can do a verification simply very quickly with Tracy. So I say, Tracy, I'm going to push a verification to your phone. You'll get a notification on your phone asking if you're signed in. If you can click yes to that notification, please.
So on my phone, I get the familiar Okta message saying, yes, this is me, or no, this is not me. I'm going to say, yes, this is me.
Great. So with that, I know that I'm talking to the right person. I'm talking to the owner of that registered device securely. This is an experience that's very familiar with the customers. And so it's the same experience for signing on to their banking as it is extending that to the call center. So that's the positive use case. For a negative use case, we all know that social engineering is possible to bring out email addresses, customer information. It's very possible that somebody knows Tracy's email address. So as a bad actor who's trying to gain access to Tracy's account, they could give me the same information. So if they give me the email address.
My email address is tracy.nyholt@techjutsu.com, and I want to do a really big wire transfer.
Great. So I see that your account here has enhanced security, which means that I'm going to do a verification against your registered device.
Instead of that, how about you ask me a security question like my birthday? I know my birthday.
Unfortunately, your account does have enhanced security enabled, so I'm going to do a verification to the registered device upon the account. So at this point in time, I do a verification against the registered device, but because the bad actor doesn't have access to the device, a notification is going to come up on Tracy's phone, and she could be out for a walk or having dinner and have that notification come up. She can actually actively reject it or ignore it and swipe it away. When she does that, I immediately know that she now see that she's rejected the notification. At this point in time, I can follow my corporate procedure for referring this to the fraud department, flagging the account as a fraudulent activity, or taking further action at that time. Just want to point out before we move on to this, our Call Verify patent pending solution also has under their actions to go directly to the profile within Okta. If there's any attributes that need to be updated, phone number, name, that type of information can be updated directly within Okta against the profile. And then you can also jump directly to the Okta admin portal. And that is Call Verify. So a little bit about Call Verify's architecture. Call Verify is tightly built around Okta's verification platform and extending that to the call center. It's not available on any other identity platform, which gives Okta and its clients the edge to be able to offer this to call centers. It's a competitive solution, and it extends that familiar, as I was saying, mobile and online experience that customers are already used to the call center. We've seen increasing demand for this Call Verify solutions, and other competitors such as Microsoft Ping and other identity providers aren't able to offer this solution. And you can see in this diagram, it's tightly tied into Okta. We love it, and it's Call Verify. So in summary, Call Verify helps with reducing risks, makes organizations compliant with regulations, saves them time and money. And if an organization's callers are complaining about the questions they ask or the time it takes when they contact the call center, they can delight them with TechJutsu's Call Verify solution. Call Verify also integrates seamlessly with automated telephony systems, so those IVR solutions also are able to do that.
So next we'll talk about step-up authentication powered by Okta. So very common use case in financial industries. High-risk transactions, like I say, a wire transfer, you want to do a step-up authentication, whereas lower risk transactions like viewing account, there's no need for that additional security. So high-risk transactions like wire transfers need that extra layer of security, particularly high dollar value amount transactions. And in our demo, we'll show you the difference between not having a step-up authentication for a low value dollar amount and having a step-up authentication for a high dollar value amount, which is a common use case we're running into in FIs. So the Okta widget supports step-up authentication, and this can be triggered by transactions by dollar amount or transaction type. So you could do it in our demo. We're going to do it transactions over $5,000, but I could also do it based on transactions, so e-transfer or wire transfer. And with that, I'm going to share my screen here with you and show you the difference between those two. So I'm logged into my friendly neighborhood banking system here, and I'm going to do a low dollar value transaction of $1,000. And my security policies have been configured to not request a second step-up authentication for these low dollar value amounts. And I can, as I submit transfer, I can see here on the left-hand side that I've transferred $1,000 and no MFA is required by the fraud policy configuration. You can see up at the top that my transaction was complete. And now I'll try a high dollar value transaction. So I'm going to transfer $5,000. Submit my transfer. And I can see on the left-hand side that a MFA is required for high value transactions. So it's connecting to Okta. My second factor of authentication is configured in Okta to be Okta Verify, the secure push notification. So I'm going to say, yes, this is me. And I'm authenticated and the transaction can complete. We'll pass that back to Mike.
Thanks, Tracy. So moving on to showing a demonstration of Okta's integration and our integration with Shape fraud detection and security. So that combines the integration of TechJutsu's technology and IAM specialists and Okta's powerful identity platform, Shape security, and in some cases, our clients are using an e-banking financial platform. So we combine Shape, eBankit, and Okta into a solution when we recognize this problem. So how do you find an easy to implement, user-friendly, and secure member solution? So we came up with the financial template when we were working with a client who was struggling to come up with a really strong member solution. Each company worked with offered a part of the picture of the digital banking solution. So no one company offers a total digital banking solution, but putting them together offers a full picture, a solution of that. We stepped into the gap, brought Okta, eBankit, other banking systems, and Shape Security together to create a one-stop shop for FI clients and integrations that we've already proven out. Clients don't have to cobble together a solution, saving them time and frustration. Additionally, because the digital banking climate is complex, we wanted to provide a future-ready and secure solution. Keeping the solution secure and future-ready is made possible by Okta. So to solve these problems we encountered in the world of digital banking, we came up with a solution. We integrated the fraud alerting provided by Shape Security, the user friendliness provided by eBankit, and the industry-leading identity software provided by Okta to bring our clients a full picture financial template that reduces risk and provides a great member experience. To create a great member experience, we implemented a tested solution that makes e-banking even easier for customers and prevents member pushback. Because of the Shape portion of the solution, we prevent up to 95% of fraudulent transactions, targeted attacks, and bot attacks. This solution allows our clients to become industry leaders in the digital banking revolution by implementing this adaptive, future-ready solution. Just quickly talk about some of the challenges in the financial industry. Stolen credentials are huge. Up to 95% of internet traffic in some of these FI solutions is bot-based, trying to identify and steal credentials. As we all know, people often reuse passwords or weak passwords. Some of these statistics speak for themselves. So credential stuffing attacks, some other statistics as far as Shape Security and what they provide, and reducing that exposure to bot and malicious IP traffic. So moving past most of these slides pretty quickly, just want to highlight some of the appeal to FIs. Shape Security, we're able to deliver 2 to 3 times the additional fraud savings to customers than more traditional bot tracking. Shape doesn't help you act on its intelligence, so banks still needed a way to provide MFA and secure sign-on. This is where Okta really shines. We can get that robust authentication up and running faster than the competition with Okta's identity platform. I'm going to do a quick demo now here with the Shape Security. So same banking app that Tracy did her quick demo with here. The difference here is that it doesn't matter on the dollar value amount. What we're triggering on this here is Shape's fraudulent transactions. And that can be based upon malicious IP traffic, copy and paste, bot injection. Often those behaviors are very different than a normal employee or a customer sitting in front of their computer doing their transactions. So if I do a transaction amount of $1,000, that's way under the high value transaction amount, but it is still going to look at that. And as you can see on the right hand side, required by a fraud policy that's detected by the Shape Security integration here, and it's prompting me on my device to do step-up authentication. So if I answer that question here, verification on my phone for push notification through Okta, you can see that the transfer has been complete. So that's as simple, that's the integration, and that's the demo. Pass it back to you, Tracy.
Thanks, Mike. Next, we'll talk about the need for password lists. So workers spend a lot of time identifying themselves. Touching those communal keyboards means increased risk of spreading bugs, which we've all been running into with COVID. In fact, I read one article that said communal keyboards are dirtier than a toilet seat, which are cleaned much more often. So I think we could all use a little less keyboard touching. And still the security problem of how do you make sure the person that you're authenticating is who they say they are. So we'd like to show you how to use Okta with passwordless authentication. Passwordless allows you to verify users more securely with token-based authentication, smoother, more sanitary, and no passwordless means the person you're authenticating must be who they say they are, because you're verifying them with more than just something that's written on a sticky note by their monitor. And the authentication method we're going to show you is Beyond Identity with Okta. So Beyond Identity is a fast and secure omni-channel authentication. Without passwords, one-time codes, or having to pick up a second device, achieve continuous authentication enforce risk-based policies with granular device security. It's user-friendly, zero-click logins from any device. We reduce customer support costs by allowing customers to add and restore credentials, avoid lockouts, and streamline account recovery. And I will pass it back to Mike to do a demo of Beyond Identity.
Awesome. Thanks, Tracy. So essentially what we're going to look at is we're going to look at their integration with Beyond Identity. And as Tracy talked about there, it's quick, it's easy, and it allows you to sign into your Okta tenant. And we're not having a specific application for this integration, but we will show you signing on to the Okta dashboard using Beyond Identity. So if I type it into the Okta login, this is tightly tied into the Okta tenant. And I authenticate through. You'll see that it's locating authenticator, verifying my identity, and logging me back into the application. So I'm logged in directly to my Okta tenant without having to actually log in or enter a username or password. That's passwordless. Now to show you a little bit more about the Beyond Identity application. So there is a Beyond Identity application that needs to be installed on the device, and that allows the verification to happen without the password, without username and password. So if we look at the integration here in this credential, we can see that it's got a lot of information about my system, whether or not, when it was installed, device information, Windows version that I'm running, whether or not I'm actually using hardware trusted platform module, information about my device, whether or not my hardware is encrypted, the hard drive is encrypted, whether I'm using some sort of antivirus tools or firewall. And you can actually set up policies against these to see whether or not people can or cannot access specific applications based upon the status of their integration with Beyond Identity. It's quick and it's easy, and that's Beyond Identity's passwordless solution.
Thanks, Mike. Next, we'll talk a little bit about working with TechJutsu and what you can expect. So we have a process that starts with assessing your current situation. So we like to document your current state and make recommendations for a future state that clearly shows the return on investment and value correlations. As well, in that assessment, we would show you things like what effort it would take to get to a future state and how much of that effort would be ours and how much would be yours, so that you can clearly make an assessment as to whether it makes sense for a project to go ahead or not in your organization. We like to bring a lot of advice and expertise by bringing the best solutions forward, advising on the right IAM vendor and next steps to achieve your goals. In the implementation phase, we guide you through expertly configuring your solution, or we can just do it for you, whichever you prefer. We provide communication templates and workshops to ensure user acceptance. Moving on to handoff, we provide operational and help desk training, runbooks, and help desk guides to make sure that your team is properly prepared to operationalize your IAM security or your IAM solution. And if you prefer, we can also provide maintenance for you in terms of health checks, customer success managers, checking on new feature updates for you, running suspicious activity reports, and much more. So just some of those things you might get from the assessment, figuring out your return on investment, making things more secure, and knowing exactly how much time it's going to take. Overall, we like to increase the user experience while reducing risk. And we like to show you as part of our pre-project assessment exactly how much effort we'll take on our side versus how much effort we'll take on your side, so that you can clearly plan for your Okta implementation. As part of the assessment, we'll also define what your current state is in terms of how much it costs you to do password resets through your help desk or onboarding and offboarding, and then how much savings you'll have post Okta because users can do self-service password requests and the offboarding and onboarding is automated. We'll also show you time savings in terms of what you used to spend during offboarding and onboarding, and these will be determined through interviews with your help desk and operations team, how much time you're typically spending on access requests and other tasks. And then we'll show you after the IAM solution implementation how much time you've saved, so that you can clearly identify and communicate up to your stakeholders what the return on investment has been. Here's some of our customers. As you can see, we've got quite a few in the FI space, including Canadian Western Bank, Service Credit Union, Van City, Steinbach Credit Union, as well as lots of other large companies. So in summary, The unique needs of the financial industry around identity can be met with Okta. We'd encourage you to work with an experienced FI Okta integrator to reduce your fraud, to integrate your fraud detection tools, your core banking, your online banking and mobile banking systems, or omni-channel if you are using eBankit or one of the newer front-end banking systems. And if you're interested in chatting with us further, I encourage you to come book a meeting with us. We also have open office hours every Tuesday, and you can check out our LinkedIn or the events page on our website for more information. Are there any questions? I know Ram had asked what fraud detection tool we're using. We're using Shape Security, and I posted that in the link as well. If there's no questions, I'd like to thank you all for attending our event, and looking forward to future events. If there's anything in particular you'd like to see, please feel free to ping us. But right now, we're looking to do an Office 365 and migrating from hybrid exchange so that you can integrate Office 365 with Okta as our next event. Thanks, and have a great day, everyone.